We'll do it live.
And here we are.
Hello
We are
there,
live.
everybody.
Mhm.
We're doing it live.
Yes, there's no other way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
if we were not doing it live, you would not be able to watch us.
We'd be doing it dead.
And it would be pretty boring show.
Not nearly as exciting.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Wilson. Maybe he hasn't recovered from San Diego Comic-Con.
Wonder what day he got back. Monday, Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, love. But we were talking before we started about the actual longest running independent comic made by the same person, which is Knights of the Dinner Table, currently going on issue number 319, which is being solicited directly from the Kinzer & Company website. And Jared here, who reads every independent comic, has never read any of the 300 plus issues.
I think I may have read an issue in the 90s. I don't own any, but I think I may have read. May have been a bit of somebody at Marvel. I think it was my friend Dave, who's the biggest Dave Sharp letterer. You know that if you know letterer, longtime letterer for everybody. I think he had some issues of it. And I may have glanced at them. I know I looked at them. I don't think I actually read them. But it's amazing that a comic. Hello there, Tit Goblin. It's amazing that a comic can be around for that long. And like I said, I haven't even seen an issue since the 90s.
Yeah. Well, here somebody would have to order them because none of the comic shops here would bet on it.
Another one I've always thought I should check out was Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, that Jim Ballant does.
Yeah,
that's been around for well over 100 issues in a lot of years. It's got nudity in it, but I've just never. I've looked at issues. I've seen them digitally, but I've never really read much of them.
When was the last time you read a Batgirl comic?
Oh, never.
No Lady Death, no She, no Evangeline.
Oh, I did read Lady Death when it was coming out by CrossGen. That was the early 20 years ago now, early 2000s. CrossGen picked up Lady Death for maybe 3 or 4 issues. It was right when CrossGen was going out of business. So it's been a while. You're right. I have not read many Batgirl comics.
I am one of us is here. How are you doing, man?
Hello there.
And even in Batgirl comics, I really don't need the titillation because Europe.
Yeah,
we have comics with boobs.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I suppose some of them might be interesting. I've always been intrigued by She.
Yeah,
but I never ended up picking any.
I read an issue or two of She. Didn't really do anything for me. And I don't know if she was really a bad. I don't know if that would really count as a Batgirl comic. It was, if I remember correct, She is the one done by what's his name? His name just flew out of my head.
Billy
Tucci.
Billy Tucci. Yeah.
Is that She?
Yeah.
Or I'm confusing She with. Oh God, who's? I don't know if I may have read an issue or two of Billy Tucci She. You're right. That. Who am I thinking of? He's the watercolorist who he doesn't do a lot of panel-to-panel stuff in his comics. He does a lot of illustration. Oh, he does a lot of covers too. What's his name? It's another one. It's my goodness, I can picture his work. I think he did some Daredevil covers too. A lot of.
Oh, David Mack.
David Mack. That's one. What's his book?
Kabuki.
That's it. I've read a little. It's Kabuki is the one that's not really a Batgirl comic. I was thinking of. She, I think, is more of a.
Although I think Tucci gave her an interesting backstory. So, I think the closest I got to reading a Batgirl comic was I read the first 8 issues of Witchblade.
Okay.
and then I was done. I mean, they're not really that good, and it's
I
far
I
from being Michael Turner's best work.
I bought the last issue of Witchblade, like issue 200 or something, that they ended volume 1 with, and then they relaunched it like a year later.
Mhm.
I remember I was like, "All right, I'll the last issue, I'll pick it up." Just like I picked up the last issue of GI Joe.
Mhm.
I picked up issue 1 of GI Joe, and I picked up issue, what was it, 300 of GI Joe, and nothing in between. But of course, that one's going more now too.
Pulp Reader has a business opportunity for you.
Ah, buy a card set of your covers, Chad, and the rig. Okay, I'll have to see about putting that together.
Mhm. You can do a crowdfunding.
Yeah, one of these
But
days I'll
yeah,
do some crowdfunding.
but yeah. Remember when Top Cow did oh, well, we have Wilson. Hey, Wilson.
Hello there, Wilson.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
We're doing all right.
We were wondering if you were still not recovered from San Diego.
the,
I I I am about recovered, I
the
guess would
con
be
crud
the
didn't get you?
knock on wood, it did not. I was exhausted from the con, only because I think every morning I was wide awake by about 5 in the morning.
Right.
Because I'm on New York time and um didn't go to bed till about midnight each day. And I was okay until the next, I took a flight out at 7 in the afternoon, thereabouts. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to New York till about 5 a.m. And then basically I probably didn't get home until uh 9 or 10. It just
Wow.
took an hour to get off the plane. It took an hour to like travel to mid Manhattan, and then almost a half an hour or so to get home. And I just went right to sleep in the middle of the day. And I think I woke up at about 1 in the afternoon to attempt to do stuff, and that day was pretty much shot.
Yeah.
And the next day I kind of vegged out, and then I did a bunch of stuff yesterday, and then today I spent the morning at the DMV. So it's been a fantastic week,
A
but
thrill ride.
I did make it to the comic book shop today to pick up
Oh,
books.
all right.
So like from the DMV, I just hopped on the Metro North and went straight downtown to get my books.
Uh-huh. That's cool. How many days were you at the con?
So I was at the con on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday
Oh.
were the days at the con. Technically, I was there on Wednesday for preview night, but that's when I got into San Diego, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like outside of the con to get my ticket. Like I didn't get there enough time to go in for like preview night.
Mm-hmm.
Did you buy anything interesting there?
Uh Interesting to me, maybe not to you guys. I did pick up a handful of action figures. The only books that I got were books I worked on, meaning I ran into one of the publishers that I've worked with. It's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Here's some books." And it's like, "All right." So I came back with some graphic novels that I worked on. Let me grab them so I can show it to you. So, since they're book related,
Graphic
and
novel.
came back with a couple of catalogs and some action figures, but I didn't buy any comics mainly because I didn't really see much. I didn't really get to go through much of the back issue bins and stuff like
Right.
that. So from the movie Underworld, I did some of the pre-press. All these books I'll show you, I either did lettering or the pre-press for it to be printed. So here's Underworld Blood Wars. So this is, I think, a prequel to the last movie that came out. So on this particular one, I did the lettering, and the pre-press. I didn't do any coloring in this one. So this is from Darkstorm Comics.
Uh-huh. I didn't know there was an Underworld comic.
Yes, there is a comic series to it. One of the co-creators, Kevin Griveau, he retained the publishing rights to the stories. He's also the actor that played the werewolf in the Blood Wars, in the Underworld series, in the first movie. Kevin also wrote and created the Blue Marvel for Marvel, and
So
so he
he
writes comics as well.
Kevin wrote Underworld,
Yes, I believe he
the
co-wrote it.
original like movies or whatever.
Yes,
Okay, so he doesn't have to pay for the comic book rights.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure it out. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yes. Here's another one, Jin: Rise of the Jin. Another book that I only did I did letter one of the stories, but for the most part, this was all pre-press putting it together. Another one
Mhm.
of the books that he did. I think the original comics was done by let's see if it's because the logo that I could barely read up here is Xenoscope, I believe.
Okay.
I'm guessing they must have published the individual comics,
Uh-huh.
and then the trade paperback was published by Darkstorm. So this
Interesting.
story is pretty much the Jinns popping up, and this cop is going after them, and she has like a Jinn Slayer power, for lack of a better term. And then the proper Darkstorm comic book itself is called Darkstorm the Conqueror, where the main superhero looks a lot like Kevin,
Mhm.
and it's a typical kind of superhero storyline where he's the, for lack of another term, a Superman character that is here to help the planet. But he's Earthborn. He just got his powers through an accident, and then in his stories there are some time traveling, a few interdimensional travels, and there is a group of superheroes that aren't as up and up, so he doesn't want to be a part of them. And the superhero agency wants to control him because they don't like the fact that he's a loner. And so there are two graphic novels in this series. So it's The Conquerors Part 1, and then here is Part 2.
Uh-huh.
Most of these I lettered, and again, pretty much putting it together, doing pre-press.
Costume looks a little bit different between issues 1 and 2.
What was that?
The costume looks like a bit like it's a bit different from issue 1 and from issues number 1 and 2.
No, I think it's just because of the different artists that are on it,
Ah,
but they pretty
Oh.
much
okay, yeah.
run about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just two different artists on there, so there's just
Mhm.
slight differences. I do know there are some slight costume changes in the series because there is again, with multiverse type stuff, there he has been visited by different versions of himself
Uh-huh.
as well. So one that's a little younger and two more that's a little older, but this has to deal with alternate alternate realities, stuff like that. So there are some slight differences, but these are the books that Kevin does. His website is also darkstormcomics.com. I believe that's the website. Let me just double check. It's been a while since I've actually looked at the information. I don't see it here easily. That's probably
Uh-oh.
something for the next issue,
Nah.
is to get us to the darkstormcomics.com. It's in the first page of the indie show that I made myself. So
Nah.
I should have paid a little more attention to my own designs. So there you go.
Using that compact font so you can't read it.
Yes, exactly. Because fault of the trap of, I could just zoom in 300%
Yeah.
and not realize, things should be changed a little bit.
All right, we have SBPT with us.
Good evening.
Welcome.
He's back. He wasn't here last week. He had a family thing to go to. He went out for a movie. Eric P is also here.
Welcome.
And SBPT says the suit reminds him of Quasar. Yeah, a little bit.
I guess.
I actually started buying some back issues this week.
Ooh, what'd you get?
I've mentioned before, I actually looked up when I sold back in 2017 when I was broke. I sold some comics, of course, to get some money. And I was like, you know what? I want some of them back now that I'm not broke. And so the first one I got back was Monstrous #1.
Oh, nice.
Which I sold back in which has gone down in price too. I spent $28.01 on it. I think I sold mine for $40.
Nice.
Something like that back in 2017. So I'm like, you know what? I want Monstrous back. Because this was the only one that was worth any money back then.
Right.
So I sold it, but I'm like, you know what? So I have the other, one. I actually have a image first of this too. So I don't even have to read this one if I don't want. I can read the reprint of it. But I was like, you know what? I just want it back purely for emotional reasons. And then the other stuff I got was, this is going to take a while to replace. I sold my Walking Dead issue 3 through 49. So I got issues. What do I have here? Where's 30 and 30? I got these as a group. Can I pull out? Oh, there we go. I got issues 31 through 40 as a group. And they cost me $6.18 an issue for 10 of them. So it was, $62 for the whole group. And it's a lot easier buying things in group than trying to buy them individually.
Oh, yeah.
So those were like $6 a piece. And then I got, we got these out of order. We got 39 and then 40. And then I also found issues, what are they? 20, 21, and 22. So there's 20, 21, and 22. And these were $7.61 per comic. So like the three of them together were about $23.
Okay.
So those were some pretty good prices on those. Because like I said, I've been looking at them like crazy just to try and I actually missed out on those same two that I got. The group of 10 I got for $62. I got that one, and then the guy later on in the day put up like 21 through 30 and 41 through 50, which I need for about $75 to $90. I forget exactly what they were, but someone else got those because I was like, I don't know if I have all that money right. It's that
right.
It's that poor man thinking. I got to budget these out and when really I should have just got them because it would have been a lot cheaper in the long run.
Right. Yeah.
That there are collected editions.
I don't want the collected editions. No, actually, I do want the collected editions. I want the color collected editions when they come out. That's what I'm going to get. Meanwhile, I want my old black and white ones back. Purely emotional reasons.
I completely get that. I've been revisiting the Toy Biz toys because
Yeah.
my early days of not even my early days, my middle days, I would say, of selling on eBay, I sold a lot of them
Right.
and I've made pretty good money on them.
Hmm.
And then, it's been a few years and it's like, I kind of want them back. And as you said, buying them in bulk
Yeah.
really saves a lot of money
And
because
I was actually thinking about you too when I'm looking. Sometimes you can find random issues of like because I need all the ones in the 40s. I saw one that had like 42, 43, 46, and then like 50 and 100, which I don't need. I'm like, well,
right.
how much is that an issue? I thought of you buying, like, sometimes you buy a lot of
Yes.
toys, even though you don't need three of them. It's still more economical to buy the lot,
Yes, I've been finding them quite economical. It almost takes me back to when I bought them the first time when they were 3 for $5 at
Yeah.
like KB and Toys
Hmm.
R Us. So, and I've been finding that, again, these are the Toy Biz toys. They made millions of them. So they're not as expensive as, let's say, the Kenner Star Wars.
Right.
And people get a little nutty with those, especially with the weapons. So I've been finding that I could get a lot of action figures, close to 10 of them, where I'm only spending maybe $2 a figure. And
Right.
they're in pretty good condition. Not all of them are complete, but they don't need to because I've also been finding the accessories on as a different lot and buying those. And those I've been choosing, whichever is the least expensive. A
Hmm.
lot of a bunch of weapons and accessories. And as long as I can get maybe four out of, let's say, the 20, if I get four of them that I know that will complete
Right.
a few of the figures, it's worth it because I'll just hold on to those other ones because I know eventually I'll find a figure that they would need to go to.
Yeah.
And that has been more economically viable than, let's say, trying to buy one in the package where just because it's in the package is way too expensive.
Right.
Or maybe it is worth that price, but I'm not willing to pay that particular price.
And
Yes, it is fun opening them up, but again, I'm going for that, like the bulk of it.
the individual issues I find with shipping go for around $15 an issue, which is a lot because you're paying from $5 to $8 shipping an issue. So
Right.
even though it says, oh, $8, you look and the guy's charging $10 for shipping. It's like, really?
Exactly. That's the other thing that I do check for because sometimes it's like, you're only paying $10 for this group of toys and they want $15 for shipping. It's like, no, that group of toys could fit in a small box and it's $5.90 for
Yeah,
shipping, if even.
right,
So again, it's burdened with the knowledge of how much these things really cost
right,
to ship. Uh, makes me very hesitant to get some stuff. But
right.
again, on eBay, Poshmark, and Macari, you could also make offers. And
Oh,
what I
yeah.
usually try to do is I make an offer where I don't pay for the shipping.
Hmm.
I try to take off at least the $5 from the shipping
Right, right.
when I'm going for something.
I
Yeah.
also bid on some more expensive ones that I know I'm never going to get. Sometimes I do that on eBay. I'm like, well, this goes for around $300. No one's bid on it yet. I'll bid $200.
Yeah.
And it's
Because sometimes it's fun to be at least a part of it.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, I bid it on this old Spider-Man book. Because if you get it for that price, it's
Yeah, you're like, all
amazing.
right.
You get it, you get a great deal. But if you did it, at least you tried.
Right.
SBPT says fighting cheap old Toy Biz toys in Portugal is a mirage. Some
Ah,
people ask 50 euros. That's like $60 for what he calls battle ravaged toys. Because
ah.
here they take the toys out of the box so they can put it on the shelf,
Right,
and then they sell it after being outside the box.
right.
And if the owner has children, that children has played with the toy.
Oh yeah, completely.
It Goblin, Power of the Force 2, X-Men Toy Biz, and Star Trek Next Gen figures. The trifecta of mass-produced 90s toys.
And I have many of all of those listed.
Tons and tons.
Oh yeah.
I've got it. I usually have one toy on my desk. I don't have a ton of toys. But for the last year or so, it's been a Chun-Li on my drawing table. And I usually buy like one toy every. At first, I was going to go, I'll buy a toy every year. And I did that for about 3 years. Then I was like, I got 3 toys. What am I going to do with them now? So then I didn't buy one for a couple of years. This, I think, is the last. I might have bought this last year, the year before. I don't even remember. Oh, and my mother just gave me this guy.
Oh,
Who
Captain
is
Sisko.
who is that?
That looks like it's Captain Sisko
Yeah, that's Cisco.
from D Space Nine.
So he's just
See,
sitting
they're-
here for no reason.
They're-
With that hair, it's still Commander Cisco.
It might be Commander. How many pips does he have on his neck?
Let's see. 3.
3, so it's Commander Cisco.
Yeah, he was Commander for the first 2 seasons, I think.
Yes. Once he's bald, then he's captain.
Yeah, it's being bald that makes you a captain.
Yes.
Star Trek rule.
Yes.
This is the new thing I did. I did this remember last summer I bought those Submariners.
Right.
I kept it up this summer where I put a receipt in the back just so I know how much I paid for it. Like I just would print them out, from and so I know this one was $7.61 per comic. I don't know why I need to know that, but
Yeah, sometimes you want to know, did you get a good discount on
when,
it?
yeah, when did I
the
get that? How
shipping.
much did I pay for? I buy so few back issues that usually I know exactly how much I paid for stuff, cover price or less. But here's something I picked up on impulse: the collected edition of Dustin Weaver, 1949. I haven't read it yet. I think this is someone mentioned this is from Image Comics. I guess he had a series. There's a couple of color pages in here too. Or some color. Let's see, what's the name of the series? Does it say here? Does it say originally presented as? Nope, I don't see it. But the series had a different name.
Yeah, it says here it's Packless.
Packless?
Yeah, Paklis.
Packless, which I don't remember ever seeing or hearing. But I just happened to be on Blue Sky, where I follow a lot of comic people. And someone on there posted this and said, this was really good. I looked it up on Amazon and it was less than $10. I was like, all right, I can buy that on impulse. I think the $19 is the list price on the back here, but it was less than 10. Yeah. This is Packless 5 to 7, it says on the bottom. So I guess there's even more Packless. But I was like, you know what? I'll give for less than $10, I'll give it a read.
Yeah, it's hardcover and it looks good.
Yeah.
The artwork looks good.
Yeah, it does. Look, really, he showed some pages of the art, and I was like, all right, impulse buy.
I'll have to check if I own something by Dustin Weaver. It looks kind of familiar. Yeah, SBPT does admit that his toys are battle ravaged. He remembers throwing them from the balcony strapped to a supermarket bag as a parachute.
That's pretty creative.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
supermarket guy.
Well, in Europe, we live in tall buildings, so what I used to accidentally push my Matchbox cars out of the balcony because it was open at the bottom, and it's a ninth floor. So
you want to see him crash?
So speaking of Dustin Weaver, when I first started in the industry back in the 1900s, one of the groups of comic book creators that hired me for the first time was called Committed Comics. They were the ones that are kind of celebrating an anniversary.
Right, that's who you're at their table?
So I was at
at
their
San
table. They
Diego.
were the ones that invited me and put me up in a hotel for San Diego
Uh-huh.
Comic Con. And here's the badge, because I think we got cut off when I was showing the badge.
Ah,
And we have like the Committed Comics uh,
lanyard.
lanyard is a Committed Comics lanyard. And Committed Comics, while I was there, were the first ones to discover Dustin Weaver
Ah,
and brought him into the comic industry.
oh, cool.
So he and I basically go back to those first years. I don't know if Dustin even remembers me, but it was one of those funny things. Is that you mention his name in the book? It's like he got his start over
Ah, okay.
at Committed Comics, so it was kind of fun to see his name
Do you remember what year
on that
that
book.
was?
I want to say it was 95.
Wow.
95 or 96. Let's see. There's the Committed
Oh,
Comics website
I don't,
has a history portion.
I
So
don't
they
think I've
started
read
in
anything
1990.
by him that I can think
They
of.
started in 1996, and then they were officially formed in 1999. So let's see, what would have been Dustin's first work? It might have been, they did a book called Threads, which each story was like connected to, there's 3 stories per book, and each story was like connected by one little thing in it.
Okay, I do own something by him. He did that Shield series with Jonathan Hickman, where they tried to reinvent Shield as being founded by Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. His art would work with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his first printed work would have been Threads #1. And that would have been published in, I want to say, 2002.
Yeah, he did Shield in 2011, I think. Yeah, and he was doing a bunch of Star Wars series around that time. But in Shield 2010, and then after that, I did. Oh, here's something. Yeah, the 10th Circle
Oh, I remember that name.
with Jody Picoult, and that was in 2006.
By the way, this came out last year. It says
Oh, okay.
June 24.
But a lot of his work doesn't seem to be registered in the Grand Comics database. Even that 1949, you've got the original Packless series. It only has the skeletons for the comics and a few of the covers. Yeah, but it's good. I remember I decided to pick up Shield because it looked weird and different, and I liked his art. I remember that. Unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere. There were a bunch of series at the time that were a little bit more experimental, and they ended up getting canceled for various reasons, including Warren Ellis's New Universe reboot, which got canceled because apparently he lost all of his scripts when his computer crashed.
Whoops.
Oh,
Whoops.
yeah. Been there.
Which reminds me, speaking of computers, Wilson wasn't here last week when I have a friend who gave me an old iPad Pro 13-inch, the big one. And boy, is that good for reading comics on.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually been reading a little bit of the Hembeck Omnibus. I still have the my original magazine. Have you ever seen the Hembeck magazine from like the early 80s? Ba Hembeck, The Bride of Hembeck. It was a lot of Fred
No,
Hembeck's stuff that he originally did in the 70s, and he was doing a weekly strip in the Comics Buyer's Guide, and he reprinted it in this magazine from Fantaco, I think, published it.
I don't think I've seen any of those.
I really enjoyed them. I tried to reread them, and the lettering was just so small. I think he re-lettered it for the omnibus. And it was so,
Right.
and I couldn't do it. Then I got the digital version, and on my smaller iPad, once again, I was just like, oh, I can't read this. For the bigger iPad, I was like, oh wow, this looks good now. So I've been reading. You read it like there's another one I read like a Sunday comic strip because they're
Right.
1, 2, 3 page maybe strips about him growing up, reading comics, the comics he read, stuff like So sometimes he does cover homages, and it's all stuff from the early 80s. So it's
Right.
it's fun stuff. But reading it on that giant iPad is good. If you can get yourself even an old one, it's like don't buy a new one because they're way too ridiculously expensive.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're on like generation 7 now, and mine's generation 3 from a friend of mine. He gave it to me, and with this cracked screen even, but it's just like whatever.
Right.
Can't even tell the screen is cracked when you're reading comics.
Right.
But just some advice to anyone out there who wants to read some digital comics: get yourself a big tablet. We're
a
not.
friend of mine, uses only reads comics in his tablet now.
Some people and like on TikTok, I sometimes since I'm now finally on comic book TikTok. I don't know why the algorithm never delivered that to me before this month, but there's a lot of 20-something-year-olds who like those compact comics. And I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
those are the smaller ones that
Right.
DC
That
now
DC's been
publishes,
putting out. Yeah.
and Marvel. I'm like, you know what? God bless them because I can't read them.
Yeah.
Those are definitely for the younger crowd.
When I was younger, I didn't mind those
Oh,
paperback books.
me either.
Because that's how I read
Me
the
either.
original X-Men and some of the early Spider-Man books were those little, and I still have those books,
Me too.
but I'm
The
not reading
pocket
them
book.
now. The pocket books. Yeah.
When I was 10, 12 years old, 14, 16, I could read those no problem.
But now, even with my reading glasses, sometimes I may have to take out
Yeah.
a magnifying glass.
Yeah. So Dustin Weaver was also the cover artist on the Avengers in Hickman's run.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he did the interiors for a couple of issues as well. Most of the money he's been making in the last 10 years or so is from being a cover artist.
Okay. Yeah, I know his name, but I don't really know I mean, I have a vague impression of his name. It sounds familiar,
Right.
but this is the first time I think I have something by him. So I look forward to reading it.
As I continue with my San Diego Comic Con, so I was on a panel. So being on a panel, I get one of these,
Ooh.
and here's peeking into the background of stuff is what's on the back of them.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to Comic Con. Please be aware many members of your audience may be under 18 years old. Thanks so much for participating. So it's some nice information, and since I was there it even tells you which panel you were on and the
Uh-huh.
date, and then what company you were representing at the time. Because I know some people will do multiple panels,
Right.
and each time they do a panel, they get one of these. This is technically my second one. The first one was printed out, but I was not at the show. So I've
Now here's a
got
spelling
I've,
question.
yes.
No period after junior?
I gave them the information,
Do you
and
usually
this is
not
what
put a period after? I'm just curious.
I usually do.
Okay.
I usually do. In most of my other paperwork, it is period, and I believe in most of all my credits, it would be period as well. Yes. So in my credits, It is period. Then again, that makes sense because I'm the one putting together
Right. Yeah. I was just wondering
most
which
of the
way you
books. But
used because
I
I don't.
usually do a period.
Yeah. Okay.
And there were some times it'll be Ramos hyphen Junior would pop up, and I don't even know if that's correct, but I've seen that pop up once in a while, and it's like I have no idea. I know period is what's the norm, so to speak,
Right.
but sometimes depending on who's doing it, I know all my paper cut books are period, and I don't do the credit page for paper cuts.
Right.
So I usually go for period, and I don't know. I'm going to guess that the information was provided by Apex,
Uh-huh.
so that was thrown together. Because sometimes people will show up for a panel and weren't actually put on the panel, and San Diego will print it up right there and then.
Mm-hmm.
As you're waiting, and I've seen them like in the middle of a panel, someone run up and place the card and then run away uh, on there.
Because
So
I'm a third, though I don't use it very often, but it's usually I. It's the capital
right.
I, capital I, capital I.
And do you do a period after that, or
No,
that doesn't
no
need it?
period after.
Oh, okay,
Because it's not an abbreviation. You.
that's true. Right. Okay.
You should use your middle name as a hyphenated. Then people will think you're of a nobility stock.
I have no middle name. I guess I could use my what do they call that?
Confirmation name?
Confirmation. Thank you. I could not. That's how bad of a Catholic I am. I forgot my confirmation. The word confirmation. But it's like that's Francis, and it's like I don't use that on anything. So I always used to joke around that my middle name should be Aloysius, so my initials will spell out war.
Ah. I saw
So
the panels from the comic book historians, Bill Field and Alex Grand, and one of them was about Bill Finger. There may be something coming up about biography.
okay. I did
Yeah.
not see that. Historically wise, I went to the Jack Kirby panel. And I went to the Steve Ditko panel, hoping that I'll run into Mort Todd, but he wasn't there. It was the Ditko's families.
Right.
So nephew and I guess nieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an interesting panel because they're talking about the stuff they're planning to do, and they've gave out an amnesty for all the artwork that's out there.
Okay.
So what they would like is anyone who has the artwork, they would like to get a high-res scan of the art so they can archive it, and they will receive the person who does that will receive an official document from the Ditko estate that this person now has the providence to own this
Okay.
piece of artwork. And I
So
thought that was quite
they're not
interesting.
looking to recover the artwork. They
They're
just
not looking
want a
to
high-res scan of it.
They just want a high-res scan, and in return, you get the provenance that you currently own
Right.
that piece of artwork, which I found interesting.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
technically it's all stolen artwork, but
Yes,
stolen from whom is the
right,
question.
exactly. And when they were first talking about it, and they were saying
Mhm.
like all that artwork out there, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, I wonder where they're going with this.
Huh.
Are they going to just say that it's all stolen artwork?" But the nephew said that his dad does not want to pursue trying to chase down all that artwork.
Yeah.
So there is an amnesty on it. You got it, you
Yeah.
have it, and then just give us a high res scan. And they're planning to put together things like the completed Mr. A series, the completed Static series,
Okay.
and then they have a couple of projects in the works with it. And they completely also acknowledge the fact that in no way would Steve wanted any of this stuff to be happening.
But they're like, we don't have to listen to him
But
anymore.
we don't have to listen to him, so but they will be doing stuff with the property.
Okay,
Yeah.
there already is a biography of Bill Finger, because one of the guys on the panel is a filmmaker named Lenny Schwartz, and he did a play about Bill Finger called Rise of the Bat. Yeah, it was performed at New York Comic Con in 2022. The guys
Okay.
the guys from Rhode Island is not, and he's not related to Julie Schwartz.
And Bill Finger, by the way, has a street named after him here in the Bronx, over at Poe Park. Is basically where Poe Cottage is. Edgar Allan Poe's cottage is still it still exists in the Bronx on the Grand Concourse, and that park is also famous for the fact that that's where Bill Finger basically told Bob Kane all the Batman stories. And so there's a street that's right next to it that's now called Bill Finger Way.
Uh-huh.
They both were Bronx natives at that time period.
Bronx kids.
Yep.
Bill Finger Way. Another impulse buy this week from the comic shop, since they had a shelf copy, was Heavy Metal #2.
Okay, that fetched you a pretty penny.
It's $15, but it's 230 pages.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. $15 sounds cheap when you know it's 230 pages.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's a lot of pages.
Are they completed stories, or is the typical?
Some are, some
heavy
are.
metal?
I didn't even finish reading it all. I'm about, so I've just been, where's my bookmark? I'm about that far through it, so more than halfway. But I mean, and there's articles that I didn't read too. But there are a lot. Some are short stories, some are long stories, some are continued stories. But Legacy 322. But I was happy to see it, and I was like, and I only had, I think, 5 comics this week, $20 worth of comics. So I'm like, you know what? I can spend $15 on Heavy Metal #2. A lot of European stuff in it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you can tell us the names of a few of the.
Let's see,
authors.
where is the? Let me see if there's got to be an index here somewhere.
Probably in the first 6 pages.
You would think so. Editorial. Ah, there it is. There's everybody who's in it. We'll show it to you.
A lot.
Wow.
Yeah. It's let's see, editorial, dossier, Dream Invasion, artisan, Bug by Enki Bilal. There's 25 pages of that. I think that's part 2.
Yeah, I have the first two graphic novels.
Harry Canyon by Duke Mighton and Frank Forte. Pinup by Pepe Marino. Cool. Bug Hunt by Justin Jordan, Elgo and James. Burton and Sib. El Gato by Jose Ortiz, Antonia Segura, and Frank Forte.
That's old.
Tarna Part 2 by Leah Moore, John Rapion, Anna Morozova, and Tom Napolitano. Let's see, what is this? Birds of Margili by Matthew M. Barnett. Dominoes by Dalton Cara, Matthias Santa Anna, Jacob Bascli. See, Dream Evasion by Carlos Diarmas and Omar Esteves. Free Shot, Rodrigo Lucio, Adrian Castillo, and Jamie, that name again. The Ancient Pact, Axel Medellin, Griso Solis, Carlos Cabrera, and James again. Six Ella, Part 6 by Jane V. Jenvsky. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Jane V. and then Sky, all one word.
Janevsky.
Janevsky.
or maybe Yanevsky.
Sacrifice, Antonio Marinetti and Jacob Bascali, Bascle. Gladiatrix by John Staniski, Dan Gordon, David Barron, Tom Napolitano. The Blob by Valentine Ramon. Dream Invasion, Camilla Turano. A Brief Encounter, Marco Nizzoli, Jacob Bascle. What is this here? Carmen Bond by Alfonso Font. Dream Invasion, that's a one. Millstone Part 2 by Michael V. Conrad. Ilias Krasikis, Nikki Spanow, Simon Boland. Sleepy Boy by Wayshak. Ink by Charlie Parlapanides, Vlas Parlapanides, Marco Fela, Ricardo Brusca, and Tom Napolitano. Valentina Part 2 by Sergio Gerasi. Dream Invasion, must be another one. Okay, that's about Metal Strips, Paul Kirshner, Frank Forte. Whew. And Habemus Papam by Claudio Alvarez, Geraldo Borges, Arthur Helsey, and Jane. That's a fair amount of stuff in here.
Yeah, most of the Spanish-sounding names should be from Argentina. Although Alfonso Font and Antonio Segura are from Spain.
So I was surprised at how many pages are in here. I was like, all right, 232 to be exact.
Yeah, Comic Crack is asking which issue of Heavy Metal that is.
This is issue 2/legacy number 322. I'm pretty sure that's an Elric cover, but I didn't read any Elric in there.
Maybe it's one of the articles.
Could be.
Of course, it's typical that heavy metal covers are not related to any story inside.
Right.
But when I saw the size of this, all of a sudden $15 wasn't really that expensive. It was just like, whoa. Matter of fact, Sleepy Reader was saying he bought the first 2 issues, and he finds the size too big. It's like it's too. He's like both of them went like to the bottom of his to be read pile because they were just so big that they were kind of intimidating. So he hasn't read his yet. I just read. I've just been like I only had 6 comics this week, so I would just read a story or 2 and put it down and come back. Which is how I find I have to read like these big anthologies. Read a story or 2, put it down.
Yeah.
Don't have to read the whole thing.
So since we're on magazines,
yep.
Grabbing a magazine off the rack. So this is G-Fan issue 147, spring edition. So G-Fan magazine is the only basically longest running fanzine for Godzilla. It comes out in...
it's not about Chris Giarrusso?
It's not about Chris Giarrusso. So that's probably why he can't use the name G-Fan. So he would have to do full name Giarrusso fan. But this is basically, it comes from Canada.
Okay.
And this is the only magazine or longest running magazine that is basically about Godzilla and the fandom. And for a long time, this is the only place that I was able to get Godzilla information. Especially when pre-internet, and we did not know what movies were being worked on. So they would get the movies and stuff like that. They print fan art.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, many of the more famous Godzilla artists who are working on the Godzilla comic books today were originally people who were sending in fan art for Godzilla to this magazine.
Okay. Cool.
So
feels like a pretty thick magazine too.
It's a pretty thick magazine, especially this issue is quite thick. I believe it's just under 74 pages of interior information. Now in color. I remember when they were all in black and white, and the only thing that was in color was the cover.
How much does an issue run?
This particular issue ran $8.95.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, the last
I've
issue
seen magazines a lot more expensive than that these days.
yeah, and occasionally I do have a subscription for it because they only
Mhm.
publish 4 times a year. So I usually get it as a subscription, but then sometimes the subscription runs out. I'm not paying attention, and then
Right.
next thing you know, what I see it on the rack, and it's like, oh yeah, I need to pick them up. The difference between the ones that's mailed in, sometimes you get an extra poster, um, a calendar, and stuff like that, would show up. So, but it's a good magazine. I enjoy it. It gives you some ideas of what toys are available, mostly the stuff that's in Japan. So it's like, oh, you look at it, wish that maybe some of it will come here. Most of it doesn't, but at least you get an idea of what is available. So that's the magazine. That's the back cover.
Comic Crack
Canadian.
is here. Comic Crack is saying that the magazine's Canadian.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. He asks if you ever sent anything in.
I
published.
never did. I always thought about it, but it's one of those things. It's like, if I'm going to draw something, it's going to take time to draw it, and I got to the point where it's like, uh, it's really being lazy. That's the main thing. And then another part is like, I'm a pro comic book artist. Should I be sending something in? And yeah, I probably should be. But at the same time, it's that I'm a bit lazy, or more than a bit. But that was fun to grab. It's been, and because of San Diego Comic Con, it's been kind of a bit of a Godzilla week, because the store, Super 7, who does a lot of the Godzilla action figures and those 3.75 figures, they opened up a store in San Diego itself. And so it was kind of neat to go into a store that's basically all Godzilla stuff. It is a tiny store, mind you,
Mhm.
because it was one of these pop-up stores, but I believe it's going to have a permanent residence there. So I bought one of these blind box type things that's very popular in Japan. So
Oh
these are
yeah.
small vinyl toys. So I bought one of those, and from it I got Godzilla from 1962. So this is the figure, and this is basically Godzilla from Godzilla versus King Kong, which I believe is technically the first Godzilla movie I ever saw.
Now I saw you open that up on TikTok. Is it
Yes,
gray?
it is a grayish color. It's a
Because
charcoal gray.
is that because the movie was in black and white?
No, the movie was in color.
Okay.
King Kong versus Godzilla. Godzilla is not green. Godzilla is only
Okay.
green in the American comic books, but Godzilla was always a charcoal gray,
Okay.
an ashy gray. But when Godzilla is in the comic books in America, he's painted green. On the original posters in America, he's painted green, but he's normally a gray color,
Okay.
leaning towards green, but he's supposed
Right.
to be charcoal gray. And then, like, the exclusive for the con is this Godzilla, which is called the Super Godzilla, and this is based on the 1989 comic book that was drawn by Art Adams.
So he's green.
So he's green because he's comic book Godzilla.
Right.
And when Marvel was publishing Godzilla, he made them green, or they made him green. So that's why he looks green in usual comic books. And I also got, which is a dangerous thing, is basically a catalog of the Godzilla stuff that's coming out, and this is from Bandai. They also one of the larger companies that does Godzilla toys, and so they make this book which has an emergency kaiju thing. And the great thing about Bandai is they do various types of sizes, scales, and types of toys where um, you could they're basically affordable if you wanted to get like the smaller ones. And then
Right.
something like the SH Monster Arts are a little bigger and they are more detailed, and those are more expensive. So they do a good job, I think, to making a like entry level point for like younger kids who want to start collecting. So the soft vinyl ones are a good economical way to do it. So it was a nice little catalog in this whole kind of a set. There's not many pages. There's only about 4 pages, I think, altogether. Yeah, it's a 4-page catalog, something easy to give out. And this is what the bag looks like from the store.
Uh-huh.
So they're calling it the Godzilla Station, and the employees are there wearing like emergency gear, not necessarily hazmat, but more like orange hard hats and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of fun type of thing there.
Comic Crack collects your stuff.
Thank you, Comic Crack.
Eric P asks if you discovered any new comic stories or podcasts that you're going to follow after SDCC.
Nothing new, so to speak, because like the podcast people that I saw there were people that I were already following. So it's like, oh, you get to see these guys live, kind of a thing. As far as toys, there's a brand new company that I picked up this action figure mainly because it's called Zujitsu, and it's a tiger and a gi, and they're mostly the company is making a bunch of animals
Huh.
type of thing. They're all in gis, and I thought that was kind of neat. The sculpture is done by the Four Horsemen, and they're pretty famous for designing stuff. They've designed something for basically every major toy company. So I saw these guys there. They made a comic book. I didn't pick up the book, but they made a comic book to introduce the characters. So I thought that was pretty neat. So I ended up picking up like one of their first figures.
You may have seen my cousin George there then.
It is
He's
very
a
well possible.
project manager at the Four Horsemen.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
toy guy, and he was at the San Diego Comic-Con working their booth. So
I did pass by their booth. So it was like that was something new. I didn't get to really walk around places. Like I usually like going to Artist Alley,
Mhm.
but I did not like their setup. It was just way too cramped and too close. And usually when I walk through Artist Alley is where I discover a new, an artist I may know working on a new project. And I usually would pick up their book or a piece of artwork. I didn't get to do that this year. And I did walk through Small Press, but I didn't see anything that really caught my eye or popped out to me. So that was like the downside to San Diego Comic Con is very similar to the New York Comic Con, where there is so much going on
Yeah,
that it's overwhelming. And
easy to
so
miss out.
you could easily miss out. So I spent a lot of the time making videos of like toys and stuff that I was interested, so I could just toss them up on TikTok and then walking around San Diego because they really do practically shut down downtown, and it becomes more, it's an extension
Right.
of Comic-Con, and so there's always things going on, and it's been, I think, over 15 years since I've been there. So I was just walking around, just taking in all the sights, and eventually having to hit the Hard Rock Cafe or the Hard Rock Hotel, because when I travel, my sister always demands that I bring back a mug, not a mug,
Ah,
a pint from all the Hard Rock cafes, because they're almost always in the same big towns. And was funny enough, they didn't have a cafe; they had the hotel, but they did sell the cups in the hotel's own store.
I still have my Marville pint.
I don't know what happened to mine. I have not seen that in a dog's age. So it's very well possible it may not have survived one of the moves.
Bill, for those of you who don't remember the series Marvel, it was a Bill Jemas written series, right? He was the
Bill Jemis.
Yes.
Marvel publisher at the time, who
Right.
somehow got into a tiff with Peter David, was it?
Yep.
Yes.
And challenged Peter David to a writing contest. So that each one was going to write a miniseries, and whichever one sold the most would win the contest. And the name of Peter Jemis's series was Marville, Marville, like Marvel Town. So it's Marville.
Right.
And it is one of the most embarrassing comics you will ever read.
Yes.
It was supposed to be funny. Then it turned into this weird religious tract. And, Bill Jemas was clearly used to being the most creative guy in the boardroom. But the most creative guy in the boardroom isn't that creative when he's competing against actual creative people. And one time, matter of fact, it was when we were at 40th Street. And I wasn't in. He had pint glasses, beer glasses, made up with the Marville logo on it, and gave them out to everybody in the office. I went around and traded a bunch of people, just random stuff, for their Marville glasses. So I have a set of 8 of them.
Nice.
Probably the only set that exists in the world. And I said, someday we're going to have a dinner party and we'll all drink out of our Marville glasses and discuss the finer points of Marville. And it is one of the most embarrassing things you've ever read.
Well,
Yep.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it can be considered a religious tract. It's obviously
I don't know.
Taking pot shots at DC.
But no, the end issues were about the origin of the universe. You're not remembering the last couple issues.
No, I read number 1 because I was reading Captain Marvel at the time, and because of it, Marvel also. I think Marvel put in a if you buy any of this, you get the other 2. Which they also got amazing. I also got Ultimate Adventures, which was I think Bill Roseman trying to do a Batman and Robin riff.
Yeah.
That one was also embarrassing, but I think I read it until the end. It's probably around here somewhere. I haven't picked it up since it came out. I read Marvel, and then I gave it away many years ago to unsuspecting people who are used to reading Asterix.
You're right. It started out as like supposedly a parody, a biting parody of the comic book industry. And like there were shots at DC and stuff. But by the 3rd, 4th issue, somehow his main character was going back in time to witness the beginning of the universe. And it had all sorts of religious connotations going on in the beginning of the universe. And it was just like, what? What's this turned into? But if you get a chance, look at the last couple of issues. You'll be shocked at how little it resembles the first couple. And I remember reading a few years after that too that Mark Bright drew it, and they're like that series ended Mark Bright's career.
Yeah,
like I don't know why no one would hire him after that, but he like never worked again. It was crazy. But yeah, I still have my. In fact, I should pull one out and show you. Hold on, let me see. They're right over here if I can get to them.
Right, because the pot shots included having a character named Cal AOL, because it was at the time that Time Warner had merged with AOL for about 6 months before AOL's market value crashed. And he had a dog named AOL Stro.
Of course he did, because I remember
Yeah,
the cover being a riff on the Smallville
yeah,
posters that were out around the time.
and it was part of an overall Potshot campaign.
Yeah,
There
even
it
the
is. Yeah.
logo, even the
There's a
logo is
Marville pint glass, all
Uh-huh.
dusty.
yep. The
Even though
logo
it's in
is
a
made to look
drawer.
like Superman's logo.
I have 8 of them for the dinner
Mhm.
party I one day throw.
I have not seen mine in so long. I don't think I even have it anymore.
And I remember at the time that the Marvel was people at Marvel were taking especially at in the upper echelon, were taking a lot of pot shots at DC and calling it AOL Comics. So when Bill Jemas comes in to write a comic, everything about DC is AOL.
Yep,
I can't even remember what Peter David's miniseries was. It's like the
he didn't. So I think it was actually. I think the contest was really between Bill Jemas and I think Bill Roseman and somebody else, and then Peter Davis said, "I'm going to join in," and it was his regular Captain Marvel series,
yeah, it
and he
wasn't
said,
even anything
Yeah,
my
particular.
Captain Marvel series will still outsell all you guys,"
Yeah.
and he
it
just
did, but I think it was an attempt at trying to get more people to read Captain Marvel because it was not burning up the charts as Peter David expected.
yeah, it's very well possible. It was one of those things that showed up, and it's like, okay, I'm not paying attention to this,
Yeah,
and at that
yeah.
same time, wasn't Trouble part of that whole thing as well?
Trouble may
No, that
have been
was
around
something
that
different.
time because Trouble was part of the Epic relaunch when they were trying to bring Epic Comics back. The idea, I think, Bendis wanted to publish his indie comics, but then they launched a new.
You also have to understand at the
Uh,
time, Bill Jemis's whole approach to comics to make comics better was to hire a bunch of people who knew nothing about comics.
yeah.
Mhm.
That was his sort of philosophical approach.
Was
Well, it
completely
is, whenever you bring in people from outside comics, they always think, and anything sells better than comics, and anything makes more money than comics. Therefore,
Mhm.
nobody in comics knows anything about comics.
Right. They brought in a lot of TV writers and the assistant editor. Like I can remember, by the early 2000s, I was like the old man of the bullpen. And they kept hiring like assistant editors who knew nothing about comics. So they used to have to come to me and I teach them what, like I remember explaining to a couple people what they had to hire inkers and they didn't know what an inker was. So it's like I kind of had to like guide a bunch of the assistant editors at that time through what comics were.
Shouldn't that be Ralph Macchio's job?
It should be, yes.
yeah, it should be, but Ralph wasn't going to do that.
Especially since they didn't
They didn't.
they didn't want to they didn't I was nobody. I was, the old man. I wasn't in their power structure of editorial. I was in the bullpen. So they could come and, they could kind of be vulnerable to me in a way that they couldn't in editorial because they didn't want to, they didn't want to let on that they didn't know what the heck they were doing. But how would they know what the heck they were doing? They were hired because they didn't know anything about comics. It was quite crazy.
It was completely insane, and it was just all about, writing himself into the history books of Marvel. Yeah, I'm surprised he's not walking around saying he co-created Spider-Man because he was there for those Ultimate Spider-Mans. And it's like, wow, he took 6 issues to do what Stan and Steve did in one,
Yeah.
So
and 10 pages of one.
Oh, remember the ultimate giant size Spider-Man or ultimate giant size Marvel team up or something?
oh yeah.
Yeah, because they were making fun of it was Bendis making fun of everything, and one of the parts of that issue was what if Stan Lee and Jack Kirby had created Ultimate Spider-Man? And then they started they reprinted the first 2 pages of Amazing Fantasy number 15, and then and then they have Quesada coming in and interrupt. Excuse me, is this supposed to be Amazing Fantasy number 15? And there's a Bendis self-character who's smoking cigar and lying down and with his feet up in his death. That's the joke. Did you bill in Casada saying, "Did you bill Marvel for these pages?" Gotta go.
That reminds me, I did see an interview with Bill Jemas years later, and he was much humbler. It was right around the time that, I think it was after the time that, do you remember Bill Jemas, I don't know, around 2010, headed up some comic book company that was being run by a video game company. It was the one where the whole comic book world was built on the fact that Night of the Living Dead was in the public domain. The original movie. So they built 6 comics, I think it was, all around, that all took place at the same time as Night of the Living Dead, the late 60s, and tied into it. And they also, like, they did some marketing ideas where you get all the issues here. It you know, when it was put out by a video game company who wanted to get into comics. And they were gone in 6 months. I don't even know if they lasted 6 months after no one bought their comics. So it was around that time that I saw, because I guess he was out doing some conventions for it. And it may have even been after it kind of failed. He was just like, selling Spider-Man is easy. Selling a comic without Spider-Man is really, really hard. He's like, you don't have to do anything to sell Spider-Man. Spider-Man, but he was like much humbler than, you know, not that I saw him a lot. I just read what he said in the press in the early 2000s, but he was much humbler.
Tit Goblin says, you have to admit challenging someone to a writing duel is the nerdiest challenge ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SBPT, I admit it, one of the only hardcovers I have is Trouble. I gave it to a cousin of mine, and some years ago she asked me if I wanted it back.
Trouble was one of those books that was aimed at non-comic book fans, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, it was marketed only in the direct market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And marketing it included having Wizard talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's which at the time was what the comic book industry considered marketing.
And that also just reminds me, Janet Jackson posted something on Jim Shooter's blog this week. And it was the story of Jim Shooter, how he got fired.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to go read Jim Shooter's blog, it's pretty cool. The one thing that killed me, she mentioned in this that at the time, the rumor was that some editors got him fired. But I even left a comment. I'm like, by the time I started there in 1990, they were telling us he got fired because he went over his boss's head, his new boss's head, and went around the chain of command, and they didn't like that and fired him. Mm-hmm. But the thing that killed me about her story, and this isn't even like a main point in her story, it's just said kind of as an aside, and it's like everything that's wrong with corporate America. Because what got him to go over his boss's head was that some Marvel Comics stuff was being reprinted in Europe. And the creators were getting no money for it. So the creators were coming to Jim Shooter and saying, hey, how come this stuff's being reprinted over there? We're going to Europe to do cons and they're having us sign them. How come we're not getting any money for this? And so Jim Shooter went to his boss, and his boss was like, it would cost us too much money to make sure they get paid, so we're not paying them. So then Jim Shooter kept fighting for the guys to get paid, which they never did. But the part that killed me was, like I said, and this is just kind of an aside, because Janet, she said that he couldn't actually tell the creators that. He's like, since it was his job to look out for the corporate, he wasn't a freelancer. It was his job to look out for the corporation. He couldn't just outright tell the freelancers that the corporation was ripping them off. And I'm like, no, I can understand you not wanting to. And he said, oh, he had a moral quandary about it. I'm like, that's not a moral quandary. Your job is to not help your bosses steal. That's a crime. It may be a crime with no punishment, but it's still there's no moral quandary. The only moral quandary is you don't want to get fired, and they'll probably fire you. I mean, that's the moral quandary. Do I keep helping my bosses steal, or do I reveal it and get fired? It's not a moral quandary. It's a, can I afford to get fired or not? Which most people can't. So then he went over his boss's head to try and resolve this problem. And there were the new people who and they were like, get rid of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they just got rid of him.
Yeah, playing devil's advocate here, it would not, doing accounting on what you sell in the US is not the same as doing accounting on what you sell outside the US.
Right.
Because you're dealing with licensors.
Right.
And the norm was, since it's beer money, they would be paid. They would give the rights to publish those comics away for a flat fee. They were not being paid Marvel was not being paid royalties per issue sold.
But the creators had it in their contract that they get paid something for reprints of their work. That's what wasn't being paid.
And at Marvel overseas reprints didn't count.
Right. Just because they said, and as you can hear just about anywhere, the biggest form of theft in the US of A is wage theft. Every type of robbery, bank any type of stealing you can think of is dwarfed by wage theft. And that is what that is. It's wage theft. And the reason it's so prevalent is there's nothing, it's a civil matter. If somebody comes in and takes your $5, that's a criminal matter. If your boss just doesn't pay you your $5, that's a civil matter. So there's no way to recoup your money, just about. That's why wage theft is so prevalent. There's very little you can sue people for it, but that costs money. But that's why Shooter got fired, trying to straighten out that problem, and he went. But it killed me just reading it. It's like he wasn't allowed to tell them about it. It's like, it's not, and it's like hiding theft that your company does isn't moral. There's no quandary there. I mean, like I said, the only moral quagmire is if you don't tell them you're doing the wrong thing. That in
the US, that in the US, if you rat out your employers for committing a crime, they still have the right to sue you for breaking for breaking a silence agreement.
Right. It's crazy. It's absolute lunacy. But it's not a moral quandary.
Right.
It's, you don't want to get fired.
Yeah, in Europe, you don't. If your boss commits a crime, and the contracts are unenforceable if the terms are illegal. That's the law over here, but it's not in the US.
Right.
No, I had to sign paperwork when I left Marvel that basically said that, I wouldn't say anything bad about them or, attempt to sue them. And it's like, why? I had a good time. And it's not until years later I realized, oh, yeah, they just replaced me with 7 people. I was probably taken advantage of.
Yep.
Marvel.
That's why I don't sign things. Like, no, thank you.
I can totally
You-
understand.
Let's see a comic I got.
but ultimately, going back to playing devil's advocate,
Yep.
it would be impossible for Marvel in 1987 to keep track of
No,
the
it would
sales
not.
numbers of
It would not be impossible. The guy said it would cost them more money than it was worth.
Oh, but it was impossible. There was no way you were going to get sales numbers come from South America.
Oh,
And-
I'm not even saying sales numbers.
Mhm.
I'm just saying whatever reprint fee.
Right, but you have to keep track of the numbers in a foreign country, and
Not,
you
not if
don't
it's
have
a flat fee. I'm saying if it's
right. But
first
if
of
it's a
all, it
flat,
wasn't. First of
if
all, it
it's a
wasn't
flat fee,
royalties.
it's
What was it, Wilson? It was
Incentives.
incentives.
right. Okay, but if it's a flat fee, you're not getting paid royalties for your work because the royalties are dependent on sales.
No, what I'm saying is, let's just say my comic is being printed in France, and
Right.
France is paying $1,000 to reprint my comic. What's my reprint fee on that? 10%. Doesn't matter how many they sell. It just matters how much money Marvel gets. What's my piece of that money?
Right.
They didn't even want to bother with that.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I guess they did figure out something because after
Yeah.
Shooter, there were changes made, and at that point we had a freelance liaison. That's who my boss was. When I started there at Marvel, is that they had somebody who would deal with the
Yeah.
freelancers, especially with, oh, I didn't get paid for this, or
Foreign licensing.
I didn't get a sample of whatever it is, because after the image guys, during that time, right after that time period, freelancers was getting more stuff. The incentive rates were laid out. You had your page rate, you had your incentive rates, you had copies of the items. You would call in and go, "Hey, I didn't get the T-shirts that were made." And we physically had in the offices T-shirts, books, a copy of every trade paperback to a certain extent, to be sent out to a freelancer if they did not receive that particular books. And then they all eventually went into the library, and as far as I'm aware of, they're all still in the library. They haven't gotten divvied out. Hit Goblin says, "Did you read your Usagi Yojimbo yet?" I picked up mine today. And no, I have not read it, but look how great that cover is.
I read mine.
Stan was at at San Diego,
Okay.
and it looks like he's going to be doing less and less shows, from what I understand.
Not a young man.
Not a young man, so he's going to shows that are easy for him to get to, but he's concentrating on getting his work done. But it was nice to go by and see him there. I didn't get to speak to him, but it was cool to see him there.
I got the 5th and final issue of Out of Alcatraz, with this beautiful Tyler Crook artwork, watercolor, actual watercolor too. You can buy the original art.
Oh, nice.
And this is the one that's hope I don't want to show any of that stuff. This is the one that is about the 3 men who escaped Alcatraz, and according to the FBI, died in the bay. But this is, of course, a different story. And I don't want to give away the ending because it was quite an emotional ending. But I enjoyed it thoroughly. This was a good series. Of course, it's 5 issues. It'll be coming out in a collected edition soon enough. But I recommend it. Out of Alcatraz. Good stuff.
How close were they to the movie stuff, Escape from Alcatraz?
Oh, nothing. Escape from Alcatraz was all about the escape.
Right.
I remember that's the one with Clint Eastwood.
That is correct. Yes, it's the escape itself.
This one starts off after they've escaped.
Oh, okay.
This one starts off with them in the bay, on their inflatable device, escaping. So it wasn't
Right.
about the escape. It was about what happened afterwards and
Oh,
how
okay.
their plan went, not like they thought it would.
Right.
So, and good stuff. Good stuff. I the first issue of that I really liked, and I liked it all the way through too. So,
Yeah, for me, that might be a trade paperback buy instead of
oh
trying to
yeah,
hunt down
it's
the.
it's definitely worth a read. Definitely worth a read.
They should do a comic about DB Cooper next.
There we go. Figure
Yeah,
out what happened to him.
that would be a
We'll
good
see.
one to do.
See who the writer was. Christopher Cantwell, who I don't think I've read anything by. I recognize the name, but I don't know if I've read anything by him.
Yeah, Wes from Thinking Critical doesn't like him. He keeps referring to him as Christopher Can't Write Well.
Oh yeah, well he wrote that well. I don't know what I don't know what else he's written. So
Yeah, they kept giving him Marvel and DC books, and I guess his work was subpar there. But then again, it's more modern Marvel and modern DC.
yeah, I find that there's writers and artists whose work I love, who other indie stuff, and I read some of their Marvel and DC stuff and go, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes, especially with writing.
Oh yeah.
They could have a story all written out, then editorial says, no, you can't do that. So they have to change the story. Sometimes things get changed at the last minute without the writer even knowing it. So it's tough to tell. Sometimes things could have gone wrong that we'll never know about. We'll never know.
Yeah, if you want to try a new writer, might as well wait until they have a book of their own, because they're
Yeah.
obviously not going to give their best ideas to Marvel and DC. They're not getting any royalties. They're not getting any rights from the movies.
And they could just be writing in Marvel and DC because that's their job.
Yeah.
That's what's paying the bills. So that's what, but doesn't mean that's their best ideas. They may have ideas outside that are really good. You never know. Like even who was it? Terry Moore did some work for Marvel in the mid-aughts, I think.
I
And it was pretty bland. And who else? David Lapham wrote Batman back then. I think it was also the mid-aughts, even earlier. I remember being really excited about that, going, David Lapham writing Batman. It was dull as dishwater.
Yeah. Do you know what Neil Gaiman's worst comic in his career is?
What?
Marvel 1602.
Yeah, that was...
It's not a bad comic.
No.
It just isn't what you expect from a Neil Gaiman comic.
It wasn't even what I expected from that comic. I can remember reading, because I'm not a Neil Gaiman fan. Haven't read a lot of Neil Gaiman. But I think he's a good writer.
Yeah.
But he mostly writes stuff I've never been interested in. That's just like a taste thing. And I can remember when I first started I was like, you know what? I'll give 1602. I think I was still at Marvel at the time, so I could get it for free. I was like, I'll give 1602 a read. And I thought it was pretty interesting at first, because it was I kind of thought it was like dealing with the concept of when you're dealing with characters that people already know, you're not starting at step 1. You can start at like step 12, but not many people do. It doesn't really work like that. When he first started doing that, it seemed to me like he was starting at step 12. I found that interesting in the first issue. But then as it went on, I realized he wasn't starting at step 12. He was just having us guess who these superheroes really were. Who's this character? Ooh, it's really Spider-Man. Who's this character? Ooh, it's really Captain America. I'm like, oh, right. He's not taking advantage of our knowledge. He's just playing hide the superhero. So I never finished reading it.
Yeah, the comic was called "What If Neil Gaiman Wrote a Marvel Comic."
Because
it's a version of Spider-Man. Exactly what you
Hmm.
expect. But then again, I mean, what were you going to hire Neil Gaiman to do at Marvel?
I don't know. My absolute favorite indie guy doing a Marvel comic is Peter Bagge's Megalomaniacal Spider-Man. That is, if you've never read that, read it. Because it takes Spider-Man in a Peter Bagge way and mixes him with Ayn Rand and her objectionist philosophy. And it's just brilliant. I'm surprised Marvel ever published it. It's good stuff. I mean, it's an emotional issue. Well, yeah, the Usagi Yojimbo, definitely an emotional issue.
Yeah. And Chris Cantwell co-created the show *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that is.
I never watched it, but I remember that one got some good reviews.
Was it on cable?
Yeah, I think it was. It was like AMC or something. I don't
Not-
know why I remember that, but I do.
Doesn't look like something that would be available here.
The Megalomaniacal Spider-Man. Oh, Peter Bagge at his height. There was another one that wasn't quite as good. I think he did the Hulk. Because, like, have you ever seen that? I think it was called Tales of Suspense or something, where they had a whole group of indie people do Marvel stuff.
I don't think I
Once
did.
again, early 2000s. I have a hardcover of it. It was like I think it was called Tales of Suspense. It may have been 4 issues. It was okay. The problem with having indie people do Marvel stuff is they instantly restrain themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it was bad. It was just kind of like tame versions of. So I think what's his name? Beto Hernandez even did some stuff. It was one of those things that I always thought should be really good, but indie guys doing Marvel stuff are usually kind of handcuffed. And I don't even blame Marvel for it. I think you handcuff yourself. It's like you automatically want to please your inner Spider-Man fan.
Yeah. Even indie guys would jump at a chance to make a few extra bucks, and I guess they're trying to not break the toy if they think they may get a chance at doing something.
Right.
But they are aware that if they do something, they have to follow guidelines, and they can't be their usual selves.
And they're probably, read plenty of Marvel or DC comics. They're probably fans, in their younger days, even if that's not what they do. And so, like I said, I think they restrain themselves too, because it's like, ooh, I'm doing something mainstream now. I don't want to be, I'm not mainstream, but I don't want to be too crazy.
Yeah. 62 Lefty Blues. If you didn't hear, Daniel Warren Johnson has an art book on Kickstarter.
Oh, cool.
Terry Moore did some Marvel books.
Yeah, those are the ones I remember. I can't remember what they were, but I found them so dull. I was just like,
1602 was written to pay for his lawsuit to regain the Miracle Man rights. Yeah, that is true, but that's no excuse to producing the worst Neil Gaiman comic ever.
It still wasn't a bad comic.
No, it wasn't, but it wasn't the best Neil Gaiman comic. It was
That still was.
it
I
was
don't know
not a
how
good
many
Neil.
Neil Gaiman fans want to read 1602.
Right.
I don't know how many Neil Gaiman fans there are anymore, but that's a whole other issue.
A lot of indie guys
Right.
got an opportunity when Quesada became an editor.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's when that book was put out.
Because people forget Bendis came from Caliber Press. So did
Right.
David Mack. The thing
Yeah.
is, Bendis made it, and David Mack didn't because he wanted to tell Daredevil stories using cutouts.
Yep.
Often catch fire about the history of the computer industry in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
That does sound like something that should be on TV here, but it wasn't.
Where is that? I think that
Because we have an AMC affiliate. It's called AXN. They were the one, but they weren't the ones that showed The Walking Dead. They showed The Walking Dead on Fox.
I picked up a first issue this week.
It all goes back to love checks.
Love that. I picked up The War, written by Garth Ennis, drawn by Becky Cloonan. Tamila Bonvillain is the colorist. Let's see who's the letterer. Pat Brousseau is the letterer, or Pat Brousseau is the letterer. I picked this. I've been buying like some Garth Ennis stuff that Jason Burrows has drawn, and I'm a Becky Cloonan fan. So here's a weird thing too. Right in the middle, this is a pinup by Trevor Hairsine, which sort of goes with the story, and then on the other side is a Tula Lute pinup, and they're kind of like right in the middle of the story. But, and it's got this. Let's see if we can get the. There's the gloss. It's got this. I think it's broken concrete
or broken glass.
I don't think it's broken glass. I was looking at it and I was like, it just doesn't seem to me to be breaking like glass. It seems more to be breaking like concrete.
Right.
Right.
But anyway, the story, first, how many pages of this? I was like, oh my God, this has to end sometime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, until that, the first 8 pages was this annoying group of friends discussing if the war in Ukraine will lead to a nuclear war. So we get 8 pages of them discussing that at a party. And one guy's like, no, people are too reasonable for that to happen. But then, of course, it leads to a nuclear war. So the second half of the book was about, I think London got bombed and some place in Russia got bombed too. They're in New York City, by the way. And so now they're trying to figure out, the people living in New York City are trying to figure out what to do. Mostly New York City was evacuated because they expected to be bombed next. And so the rest of the issue is these people trying to figure out, do they go upstate somehow? Do they just leave? But what do they do then? In their car? They don't have a car. They live in their, so it was pretty interesting. And then spoiler alert here, at the end, I think New York City got bombed. As a matter of fact, one couple was on a plane out and the plane had to turn around. And they're like, what? So it was an interesting first issue if you can get past the first 8 pages of them discussing the war and if it'll lead to nuclear war. I found that part a little tedious, not so insightful, but I think it's because the characters also weren't so insightful.
So it's a bunch of idiots running around during the nuclear apocalypse.
They were less idiotic when they had to just survive. It was dinner. I don't really want to call them idiotic because they weren't stupid. They were just
Sounds like that was a boring premise to focus
yes.
on when they
It was
could
a
have gone
boring
right.
premise. It was boring cocktail. You ever be at a cocktail or any kind of party where you're just caught in a boring conversation? That's kind of what it was.
Right.
And Garth Ennis is not boring. So it's obviously he's setting the stage, but still it was like, oh my goodness, he better turn this around soon. I can't take this much more. He was really capturing the essence at being at a boring part. Or have you ever hung out like with like a new group of like let's say 5 or 6 for some reason you're not with your friends, you're maybe with friends of friends, it's a new group of maybe 5 or 6 people, and you can't just jump in being yourself because they're all freaking normal and boring.
Right.
That's what it was like. It was like you're like, oh my god, I want to liven up this party, but I can't. I don't know any of these people. And they seem pretty normal. They wouldn't appreciate my antics. So that's what it was like. It was like being at one of those parties.
Yeah. Well, when it happens, I lose all filters.
Yeah. You have to be the restrained version of yourself.
Right. Your representative.
Yes. You don't want to embarrass your mother.
Yes.
I am going to liven up this party.
it
Let's talk about reptilians.
all depends on who the people are.
Mhm.
Really. Some people you can liven up the party if you get that vibe. But if you don't get that vibe, then it's best to just keep it quiet.
Sometimes it's just like, well, I'm going to walk away from this conversation.
You've bored me enough. I'm moving on.
Like, I just realized I'm an adult. I don't need to stay here.
Excuse me, I'm going to go get a drink. You have one in your hand. Oh, then I'll refresh it. Anything to get me out of
Yes,
this.
yes, I have one in one hand. I need another one for the other hand.
Oh, and here's another thing that crossed my mind this week. Of course, the Eisners happened. Did you read the list of winners of the Eisners?
I did not. I do know that I believe Crisscross won something.
Okay.
He is.
Oh, there was also the ink pots.
Oh, he might have won an ink pot.
I know some people won some ink pots. Steve Saffel won an ink pot for something. I remember seeing that.
Oh, and I saw him at the show too.
But anyway, the regular comic book Eisners are at least all books I've heard of. Once you go to like the graphic novel part of the Eisners, I'm like, how is it that every year in like 5 categories of graphic novels, there's 5 books I've never heard of? I go to the comic shop every week. I buy random stuff. How is it that I haven't heard of any? I wish I had called it up. And the one that won best graphic album was the same one that won the Pulitzer for I forget the name of it now. But I was like, how have I never heard of these? And it's just kill every year. I'm like, where do they pick all these graphic novels from that I don't know the creator, I don't know the novel, I don't know anything about them. I'm like, I'm not exactly on the edges of the comic book world. I read a lot of them.
What I understand, the submission process is that your publisher needs to send it in.
I figure it has to be something like that.
And from what I get is that some books are just not sent in by the publisher because the publisher wants XYZ to win.
and like it's always what you want to represent you,
Yes.
both with the awards and from the publisher. So it's like, ooh, what do I want to represent me as an award-winning book? And that's the kind of book you pick.
Yes.
So it's a strange thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I believe the publisher sends it in, the author is not allowed to. So you may have many artists who really deserve it, but
Yeah,
they're stuck because the publisher decided, I want this book to win.
right. Yeah. If I send in just this book, it'll have a better chance.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know the nominating process. Though I think they used to send us nominating stuff all the time at Marvel, but I never bothered to. I was way too cool to be bothered to fill out forms.
I know I was on the there is definitely a pro list of where you can list who you would like, who you vote for, but I haven't received one of those in quite some time. But then again, now that I got a badge again, I'm back on the mailing list. It is very well possible that no, I think you only had to be in industry. You just had to work in the industry to get the
right. Yeah,
to vote it.
they just used to send a batch of them to Marvel, and anyone
Yeah.
could fill them out who wanted to.
Yeah, because I do recall they would also be like, didn't you also get an email from Marvel going, here are the ones to vote for? Because I think that would happen as well.
Yeah, I think so.
And we would, here are the Eisners are available, and here's what we would like you to vote for. So Marvel, because it's now Marvel, will get these awards.
Oh, that's right. Eric P. just mentioned something here. Got to see an Eisner at my LCS this week as the Santos Sisters crew were there doing a signing. That's right. Santos Sisters won the Eisner for Best Continuing Series.
Oh, okay.
I like the Santos Sisters. It's not on my regular pull list, but I occasionally buy an issue of it. Best Eisner for Best Continuing Series? I'm not sure why. I'm not saying it's not deserving of it, but I don't know what would make it win it. Awards are just weird. Matter of fact, what is that? I have a digital version of that Pulitzer Prize winning one. I just want to see the name of it. Where is it? Oh, Feeding Ghosts, a graphic memoir by Tessa Hulls, Hulls. That's the one that won the Pulitzer and just won the Eisner. And what kills me about that, too, is this is another thing about awards and how that's that woman's first graphic novel ever. And to tell you, most people have no idea how hard it is to draw a comic book. It is really, really hard to draw a comic book. It takes so much work to draw a comic book that it's almost impossible to not do it professionally. And by that, I mean, if you're not getting paid to draw a comic book, you're not drawing a comic book. Maybe in my younger days, in your spare time, you could draw some comic book stuff, but it is just so much work that, I mean, Wilson knows how much work it is to draw a comic book.
That's why I don't do it.
Exactly. If you're not getting paid for it, me too. You can't do it. It's just so much work. And it is so much work that Tessa Hulls, who just won the Pulitzer Prize for her graphic memoir. She said it took her 10 years to draw it, and she's never drawing another graphic novel again. She's done with that part of her life. That's
Right.
how hard it is to draw a comic book. That the person who wins a Pulitzer Prize doing it is like, I'm out. Because she probably didn't get paid that much. When she says it took her 10 years to draw it, it probably took her 10 years in her spare time.
Right. It wasn't like she sat down and it took 10 years to draw it. It probably took a couple of pages a year,
Yeah.
when
And
she has spare time. And if she's a full-time working artist, you never have time.
Right,
So
right.
you squeeze in a couple of pages here, a couple of pages there, and who knows how many revisions, because it's like your art style changes after a decade. So, who knows how many starts and stops. It could have been any of that.
It just amazes me how the comic book doesn't have the money for some of its best talents. And I'm not even saying she's some of the industry's best talents, because I haven't read a graphic novel yet. But if she won a Pulitzer Prize, that's something you could sell some books with.
Yeah. Or I would hope it would be.
Yeah, and that's something you could set up a career with. But she's like, nope, I'm done with this comic stuff. I've had enough. It's like, whoa. It's kind of crazy. Like, Neil Adams had to do comics in his spare time for the back half of his career.
All the comic people I know around here do comics in their spare time.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
And even though they're supposed to do everything, they can do about 100 pages in less than 4 months.
Yeah.
And they ink and color.
62 Lefty Blues just said Feeding Ghosts is 400 pages. Yeah. And took her 10 years to draw 400 pages. That's 40 pages a year. That's a long time. It'll take you, it probably will take you a day to draw a page, to draw and ink a page. So I imagine that's 40 days. That was all her spare time for 10 years.
Right.
And then you go, I'm done. I got it done. I said what I had to say, and I can't do that anymore.
The two most prolific guys right now can probably do 120 pages a year over here.
Wow.
One of them in European size.
Okay. Is that color too?
Somebody else colors.
Okay. Yeah, that's a.
The other one does the other one usually does black and white. It's
as
humor.
long as you can make a living doing it, you're fine.
Yeah.
But if you can't,
you can. Let me put it this way: $20 for a 100-page cover price, $20 for a 100-page book, and with a print run of 500.
You're right. That's not. How are they even getting by?
They're not. They have jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they can still do 120 pages a year with a job? Whew.
Yeah.
They must have no commute. I hope they got a home studio with no commute. You can get a couple extra hours in a day.
Yeah, kind of. The guy who does black and white humor, he tutors high school students.
Okay.
In mathematics, geometry.
Uh-huh.
And he's a licensed architect, but he's not doing much architecting.
Huh.
The other guy is a college teacher
Okay.
in a cinema course.
All right. I guess that gives him some free time, since he doesn't have to teach. Most college teachers don't have to teach every day, but
yeah, there was a guy, he used to do layouts for advertising movies.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't draw anymore. He only writes, but he quit his job to become a full-time novelist.
Uh-huh.
And he does the odd comic here and there as a writer only.
It is. I don't want to make it sound like it's not a lot of work writing, but compared to drawing, it's not a lot of work.
He's way out there. Let's just say that he does the same type of research that Grant Morrison does. So it's not. He's not writing he's not writing a romance novel.
Let's take a trip on the Gemini spacecraft.
Something like that. Well, the other ones, the writer would be David Suarez, and the other artist is the guy who now the name is escaping me. Wait a second. Osvaldo Medina, which is the guy who I want to see doing more work for the foreign market, because he deserves it. He's really that good. He can reinvent himself on each project. You can you notice some of the layouts are very similar. If you the way he draws faces, but he can adapt to a completely different style depending on the subject matter, which is not something most people can do. But if he's doing humor, he draws one way. If he's doing science fiction, he draws another. Police action suspense is another one. So yeah, you can look at 5 different graphic novels. You'll have 5 different art styles from Osvaldo.
Ooh. I was also, now that I've got that bigger iPad to read comics on, I started collecting some comic book covers too. What I like to do is it's like all the digital comic is like JPEGs of scans of the comic book made into a zip file. And then you change the last 3 letters of the zip file to either CBR or CBZ.
Yep.
And
if it's a zip file, you turn it into a CBZ, and the RAR file, you turn it into a CBR. I think
CBZ is Mac too. I think only CBZs are Mac. CBRs aren't, or something. I don't even remember. It could be old, that news anyway. But anyway, what I like to do is collect covers. You just find scans of like all these alternate. I haven't done it in a couple of years because I got bored with it. But all these like alternate covers that are 1 in 25s or one of something else's that are usually pretty good. You can find scans of the cover online somewhere, drop it in a folder, and make its own. I don't even want the whole comic. I just want the covers.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I was just doing that. The first one I've done that with in ages was one of the comics I noticed that a lot of people have been buying, I've seen on either YouTube or TikTok, is that Supergirl series. I think it came out last year, maybe. It's by the same artist who did Helen of Windthorn that I bought. Bilquez. I think it's a woman, right?
Yeah, she's Brazilian.
Is Brazilian. She did a lot of nice, I think it was an 8-issue series. She did 8 good covers, plus there were alternate covers. I'm like, let me collect those. So I just was finding those this week too. So I'm going to be back to doing that a little bit too. Finding just covers I like and making them into a CBZ file for my comic reader. It's like, I don't want to read the comic. I just want to look at the cover.
Yeah. So the guy that I want to see work for the American market is doing something in Brazil. The other name, Sidney Guzman. He's an editor and historian, so he's well known in the Brazilian in the comic book circles in Brazil. He's worked a lot with Mauricio de Souza, which is like working for Walt Disney, but in Brazil.
Mhm.
And the Brazilian graphic novel Looking for the Lost Tintin will have a U.S. version. Nice.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's
Search
a book
of the
about Tintin.
Lost
It's a book about Tintin.
Yeah,
So most
I haven't read much Tintin. Like it's not been widely available here. So
yeah, but most people in America will probably ignore it.
well, most people in America ignore comics. So
Yeah.
a French
No,
comic, especially ignored.
I don't know. I get a feeling that most people reading Persepolis in the U.S. are not regular comics fans.
That could be true. I still haven't read. No, I read Persepolis. I haven't read I have both of them on my shelf. I don't think I read the second version of Persepolis. I did read the first, but it barely made an impression on me. So that happens. Let's see another comic I got this week. What's the furthest place from here? Issue 22 or chapter 22. Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg, who, according to some nice artwork, who I think are wrapping up this series, chapter 89. This is the one that's about kids growing up in this world and there's no parents anywhere, there's no grown-ups. And in the back, they're apologizing for not having an issue out in ages because where are they? We're also headed over to Ireland for a bit to visit the set of Four Kids Walk into a Bank movie. So one of the things that's been keeping them busy is they're having a movie made out of their Four Kids Walk into a Bank series, which I only had an issue or two of and was okay. But I think they're also wrapping this up. I think they said they want to get, the last 6 months have been a wild ride. But it's done now, and we are hard at work at issue 23. Well, Tyler is. He has to draw it. Nobody knows what Matthew does. Either way, new issues are being worked on. So I think they want to work on the last 4 or 5. I think it's the last 4 or 5 issues and have them out monthly so they can wrap it up. But this has been a fun series. Good stuff. But know what I also realized? In looking through these and getting these Walking Dead issues, one of the reason I like individual issues is they're really a time machine. 31, 30. It's like you can walk through the months. I love looking at just like a pile of old comic covers. Where it's like, oh, there's issue 35. Oh, where was I then? Even though these ones don't have months on them, they often have years. 03, or is that 08? Something down the bottom. It's 08, I think. When did Walking Dead come out? 08, 36. It's like, it's a little time machine thumbing through the comics in a way that, like, looking at the covers in a trade paperback isn't. Especially looking at, old Marvel or DC comics that have the month on them and the year on the cover. So it's kind of like, I'm back in 1978 for a moment. And I mentioned this on my pull list haul this week. There's a TikToker that I follow called Rachel the Neuroscientist. And she's a neuroscientist. And she comes on and gives you neuroscientist stuff. She tells you. She's a decent storyteller. She tells you neuroscientist stuff. And one of the things she had a video on, a little TikTok on this week, is delight. And how the feeling of delight de-stresses humans. Like in whatever it is in your that neuroscientists observe in our brains, delight helps reduce stress. Whatever neuroscientist stuff happens in our brain and body when we're under stress, delight helps diminish it. So I'm like, you know what? I got to look at these comic book covers with a little more delight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna linger on them a bit. So that's why when I got this monstrous, I was just kind of like, you know what? Let's just delight in having monstrous #1 back. You know what? I'm just gonna take a moment. So that's what I've been doing with some of my comics. Is I'm just taking a moment and having a little delight in looking at it. So that's my advice to everybody from Rachel the neuroscientist this week. Delight in your comic books a little more.
I like
Pick
that.
one up. Give it a look.
I think that's a great word for it.
Yeah.
and I think that's good. The word I've been using lately has been whimsy. We need
Yeah.
more whimsy in our lives, you know?
And I can see like when Wilson does his TikToks of getting the toys in, he delights in it. He's like, "Oh, look at this!
Yeah.
You got to do that.
Mhm.
You got to
I
do
think
that
so.
with your stuff. Don't be. I have to fight to not be so cynical all the time. You know."
Mhm. Mhm. No, that's why I try to do things positive because it's so easy to be overly
Yeah.
critical and crap on something. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, I've had enough of that. I've been
Right.
in
I'm too old.
way too many of those conversations where it's
Yes.
like, I realize I don't need to be here for this conversation. I'm good to go. Let's talk. Tell me about something you like. Is what I have more fun with because I'm always
Right.
interested in what people like and how they display the stuff they like.
Ah.
That's another thing too, is that for many years I had a lot of this stuff just in boxes and closets, just
Right.
because I didn't really have space for them.
You may as well not have. I say any
Yeah,
comic book I have in a box in a closet, I may as well not have.
correct, exactly.
I can get rid of it.
So this weekend, last past week, after San Diego was over, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine the next day because we had, basically let's decompress in San Diego and
Right.
not have to rush to get home. And so we were walking around in the town in an area he was staying in, and the whole area is all painted with
Mhm.
Aztec kind of art. We were in the artsy area, and we went into this building that was converted into art space. So every little room was a art store for that particular artist. It was a Monday, so not too many places was open. But one guy that we went into, he had a small store, but wall to wall artwork of what he does. And it's a little bit of everything. He takes toys and pieces of stuff, puts them together, and creates a piece of artwork within
Mhm.
like a frame and stuff like that. And it's everything. He works mainly in acrylics, but spray paints as well. And then when the spray paint can is empty, he shreds them and then he
Mhm.
uses those metal pieces in his artwork. So they're done in such a way and painted, you think they're pieces of plastic, but they're not. They're actually metal. And not only is his store laid out where everything's on the wall. So it's great because it's his artwork on the wall. So he has everything displayed with price tags and stuff like that. But behind him, he even has his tools on the wall because you know how it is with tools that if you put it down, you're going to lose it.
Right.
But if you have a space on the wall for it, you know exactly where that tool goes.
Right.
Because I think he had like the outline of it as well, that type of thing. So right behind him was all his art tools, but spaced out in such a way that it's not cluttered, but at the same time, it basically removes everything off the floor and onto the wall space, going up to the ceiling, all his artwork. And he does a little bit of everything. So he has a section where he does sketch cards or he repaints over stuff. So he'll
Okay.
take a cover and paint over it, and he'll do kind of like that Mexican Day of the Dead kind
Right.
of artwork. So he's painting skulls on characters using acrylics to repaint stuff and all this type of things. And again, it's just laying out everything on the wall. It's like that is very cool because again, not only does it show off your artwork, but you have a
Right.
place to have it where it's not hidden and you like, forget to show that piece of art to somebody because it is available to see. I thought that was a really
Interesting.
cool setup that, even if it's like really big tools, like one of those really long rulers, he has a space for it. And it becomes artwork on the wall, but it's
Right.
functioning because he can remove the art. He can remove the tool that he needs.
Huh. Interesting setup.
Yes, I thought that was quite good. Quite good. Let's see what other books because I have a few books here. So we have Man of Steel. Oh no, wait. Superman issue number 28. Legion of Darkseid Part 1 starts.
Uh-huh.
So it looks like it's the Legion of superheroes, but they're from I guess, what is it? Maybe an alternate future, or maybe that is the future. Do not know. Not really coming in clear, but we got Superman. Next book that I have here is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 8.
Have you read any of that series yet?
Not at all. Not at all. And just because Spider-Man is my favorite hero, although I don't read his comics, what if Goofy became Spider-Man?
Uh-huh.
So this had like 4 or 5 covers. I thought it might have just been a reprint Spider-Man issue, or I mean, sorry, an alternate cover because sometimes they do that. But this is actually a full story about Goofy
Yeah.
becoming Spider-Man.
Huh.
And the reason why I picked this cover is because they just have all the other characters dressed up as
That's
all the
a
Disney characters.
it's a take on What If #1, right?
Yes, that's what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It's that cover. Then they had the Amazing Fantasy 15 cover, and a few others. And let's see, Marvel has been good about publishing other covers in the back.
Let's see if they did.
They did not. But did you see this ad?
Oh, Mini Marvels. There's some Chris
Looks like they're
Caruso
getting some
work.
trades.
Look at that. I wonder if he's seen that ad.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's a graphic novel trade paperback. So yeah, they're reprinting some stuff. Unless these are new stuff. I don't know.
No, I think those are the two he's already got.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it doesn't look like they have the other covers in here. But they do have a very nice indicia design for that front page.
Uh-huh.
Pretty cool. Godzilla is going across America, so we picked up Godzilla versus Boston. So I need to find out if Godzilla versus America, the actual name of the title, so I can pull it on a pull list because
Yeah.
I'm going to assume they're going to go through all 50 states.
Eh.
And this is
Oh, they got a lot more than 50 because it's cities.
Oh, that's right. That's true. Ooh, that's going to be something. And this is a
Oh,
$7.99 one shot.
Ah.
Godzilla is not going to do anything in Poughkeepsie.
I don't know.
Maybe
it is
Syracuse.
the funniest city name ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they might go for various names.
Walla Walla, Washington.
He's going to want to go to Miami for sure.
Oh yeah.
Have a mojito.
The next book is Kansas City.
Look at that, Kansas City. And he's got Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri.
That's right. And in the same vein of Godzilla, we have the first issue of Godzilla, and I gotta look up what the word is. Godzilla Kaisei. So Godzilla Kaisei is basically the universe that the Godzilla comic books existed.
Ah.
So this is issue 1 of Godzilla Kaisei, and I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Do you mean the like Japanese Godzilla comics?
No, I think it's the IDW universe.
The IDW. So IDW has its own Godzilla verse.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what
'Cause
I'm
they
going
have
to
so
guess
many
that is.
things,
So,
like, they have so many Godzilla projects. I never realized I had their own Godzilla continuity too, because so many things are outside the continuity.
right, exactly. So I'm going to guess this is put together so you know that this Godzilla is, and in this series it's the IDW universe, and it's not the same Godzilla that's, let's say, went over to the DC universe, because
Right.
that Godzilla that visits the DC universe is the movie Godzilla from the
Okay.
American movies, Godzilla versus King Kong. That's that Godzilla. And then the Marvel Comics Godzilla, I would imagine, is the Godzilla that exists in the Marvel Universe because they had their own Godzilla in there. So I would guess that's the way IDW is kind of basically letting you know what's continuity, what is not.
When the Great Gatsby has his own Godzilla, there's a lot of them.
Right. And being that that was published by IDW, I would guess that that is part of the IDW universe, the Gatsby one, because they were the ones that published it. And I'm just guessing on that. And I think those are all my books that I picked up this week.
Yeah, the last two I have are You'll Do Bad Things and Lazarus Fallen issue number 2. Both good. This is the one that Lazarus You'll Do Bad Things is who's writing this one. One of the this Tyler Boss is. This is the one that's about the guy who is a writer and thinks was that this one? Now all of a sudden I can't remember. Oh yeah, this is the one that's about the guy who's a writer and thinks his writing is coming real and making serial killers. And in this issue, he goes to talk to an actual serial killer who he discovered through when he wrote a true crime book. And Lazarus is the one that's been going on for years now, and this is only issue 2 by Greg Rucka and Michael Lark, about this corporate families run the whole world, and these Lazaruses are basically their superheroes. But the whole series has been about forever this one Lazarus woman sort of breaking away from her family. But it's been a long, slow process. And I think it's going 20 issues, and it's the end of the series. So, but I always liked it. I'm glad it's back to being regular comics and not big square bound weird things. Dark Knight format, which I've never been a fan of.
The prestige format.
Yeah,
I like it. For graphic album.
I don't like it just because they don't open flat. That's all. You got to break the spine to open them. Which reminds me,
real comic book readers break the spines.
My friend Bunch, who tomorrow's my barbecue, so I got a bunch of people coming over. Cool. Our friend Bunch is coming over, who I don't know if you heard, he needs open heart surgery.
I did not hear that. Wow.
Yeah, he needs that. But he was giving me, he recommended, what's the name of something about the end of Lex Luthor or something like that. It was a 3-issue mini. Mark Waid and Brian Hitch, and he said it's real good. He recommended it to me. And then he was like, oh, I'm gonna get the collected edition of it. So do you want my issues? I think it's like 3 perfect 3 prestige format issues. So I'll have 3 prestige format issues tomorrow.
There you go.
of, with Lex Luthor in them.
And the facsimile I left on the shelf was the Superman book
Yeah.
that came out. I wanted it, but I
Nice looking
saw,
book, but expensive. How
but
much was it?
way too expensive. So I didn't see the price of the silver foil cover because I don't bother with
Oh,
those. The regular issue was, I believe, $9.99, and then the sketch cover issue was $10.99. And I
wow.
was tempted by the sketch cover issue, but when I picked it up and looked at it, and it's like I would like to read the story,
Uh-huh.
but the prices was too much. So I put
Yeah.
down the sketch cover one and I picked up the next one over, and it's like I just don't see myself paying for that
I
particular book at that time. I just like no. I
Maybe
put it
next
back.
time.
Yeah,
I actually, well, I had already picked up this extra $15 one. So,
right.
but I had gone past the Superman one, just passed it over, just because those golden age DC facsimiles are just so expensive.
Yes.
But then after I paid for my stuff, I was hanging out in the shop talking, and I looked back over to the shelf and I was like, you know what? That's a really nice cover. That's Superman #1. Did Joe Schuster draw that one? Who drew Superman #1 cover? Do you know,
I'm
Paolo?
guessing
I,
it's
th- I, th-
them. I don't recall.
I would say it is Schuster.
It's Schuster, right? I thought so. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure, but I was like, that is a really nice cover.
Yes.
So maybe I'll get about I get $10 for a really nice cover. But I was like, you know what? I just looked over it on the shelf and went, wow, that's
Yeah,
a
and,
really
and it's
nice cover.
it's slightly oversized because it is
Yeah,
golden age, and that was another attraction. But
yeah,
if I didn't pick up the magazine, I probably would have gotten
yeah.
it.
I already picked up a $15 heavy metal, so another $10 comic would be like, ooh, maybe. And what it was too was this was a 5th Wednesday of the month. I don't know if Paolo knows what that means.
Yeah.
Uh,
Usually there are no comics that
right,
week, although a few publishers do take advantage.
right. So the shelves were there wasn't a ton of stuff out. The shelves
Right.
were a little empty compared to you. I mean, I got 5 comics, I think it was. So there was indie comics indie comics aren't always monthly. So
Right.
for those of you who don't know, monthly books usually come out every first week of the month, first week of January, first week of February, first week. You usually come out one of the 4 weeks of the month. When there happens to be a 5th Wednesday in the month, there's no monthly books coming out that day unless they're late or early. So sometimes I was trying to remember do you remember? Because I remember Marvel and DC both having what they called fifth week events, where
I
they'd
rem-
put out like a series of books that all kind of interconnected for that 5th week. I don't think they've done it in years, and I can't remember what any of them were.
I don't remember it. The only things that Marvel I recall doing in the summer were things like Spider-Man going every 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. And I think DC did maybe one of the 52 might have been something with that for the
Yeah, I don't
fifth
remember.
week, but
I just
I
remember they
don't.
used to have them on occasion, but I
Yeah,
haven't seen one in such a long time
yeah,
because it's
and
a lot of extra work.
that is because adding an extra book into the rotation, if not more than one book. But I don't recall what they did.
No, I can't either.
Yeah, I know they did something, but I don't recall what it was. And what's funny
SDPT
too is
remembers
that
one from Green Lantern.
I remember one from the JLA, and that was like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
did Assistant Editors Month run into that as well?
I don't know if that was a 5th week event.
No,
the first
that was
time
still
they, the
that was
first
still
time they,
newsstand days.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
first time they did it was for a con. All the editors were going to, I think, San Diego.
Right.
So there was that week that the assistant editors ran stuff, but I wasn't sure if that was part of a 5th week thing. And what's funny too is that there were books waiting for me for this week, but there was no books from last week because I didn't have any books. I didn't go last week, but also there were no books waiting for me anyway. So I thought that
Right.
was kind of funny. It was like I missed a week, but we got the extra in the 5th week. Yeah, I can't remember what they did.
Yeah, I know 5th week events existed. I can't remember what any of them are.
Now, I wonder when Superman went to basically weekly stories because they jumped
Oh,
every book.
Action Comics. Oh, that's right. There was Action Comics Weekly. Then they did that's right, where they would do part 1 in one book and part 2, and then so you had to buy
Right,
the
so you had to
whole
buy
Superman line.
all the Superman books, and I think it had 4, if not more, titles, and so you had to read every issue. And Spider-Man did that for like one storyline, and then they went
Right.
back to their regular.
Spider-Man did that, I think, during the Brand New Day age. If I remember.
Maybe.
When that, because I think I remember buying like hardcovers then just to try stuff out. And I think there was, I can't remember now. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. Do I still have those or did I give them away? I might nope, they're still up there. I have to give those away. I have so many comics to give away to students.
Right.
Like I got to clean some of this stuff out.
There you go.
Get rid of it. Oh my goodness. And now I'm like planning on giving stuff. A barbecue tomorrow. That's your chance to use your Marvel glasses. Yeah.
I don't think you have enough Marvel glasses for everyone.
No, I don't
Ah,
either.
so
People might get jealous.
So whoever doesn't have a Marvel glasses, they have to take a box of books home with them.
I still have all my Marvel issues too.
Those you don't need.
There you go. You could set up a whole Marvel gift pack to sell on eBay.
You could do something like get me more Marvel glasses. You get the Marvel comic book series for free. I'll trade you.
I trade you.
Marvel.
Ooh, maybe that's why I don't have one. Did I trade one with you?
You may. I don't remember. Maybe you did.
That's a good possibility.
The only one I actually remember trading with was Johnny Green because he drove the hardest bargain. I can't remember what I gave him. A random pair of headphones or something. But I was just like getting stuff. Like, hey, you want that? I'll trade you this for your Marvel glass. Because if you ask people if they want their Marvel glass, they didn't want to just give it to you. That's why I ended up trading.
Right.
It's like they didn't want it, but they didn't want to just give it to me.
Yeah.
You know, human nature thing. But oh, I'll trade you this for it. Oh, I'll trade you. Look, okay. Then they're willing to get rid of them.
And I
know they didn't really want them in the first place.
I know exactly what you mean when so I bought some items from Hasbro because they had convention exclusives. I got it from my brother. And while I'm online, this person asked me, "Are you going to keep your magic cards?" I have no idea what this guy's talking about. It's like, I'm collecting magic cards. Why are you asking me about magic cards? But Hasbro decided that they're doing some Marvel. Hasbro's doing some Marvel magic cards.
Right.
And if you were buying an item from Hasbro, you got a pack of the cards for free.
Okay.
So it was that, but I had no idea what he was talking about. So it's like, he's offering to buy them for me, but he's not giving me a price. I had no idea what he's talking about. So I basically said, I'm buying this from my brother. So whatever it comes with goes to my brother. He's the one that sent me here.
Yep.
That's where he's going. And then when I get online, I realize, oh, then you see that any purchase, you'll get a pack of cards.
Ah.
And they're doing Marvel cards. And the pack of cards covers is the Spider-Man family. So you have the choice of 5 different Spider-Man characters. And it's like once I found out about that, it's like, no, I'm keeping that because it's Spider-Man. So these are the cards that they have.
Oh, cool.
So it's the Magic the Gathering, but
a
it's
welcome deck. So that's a whole starter deck.
So that's the whole starter deck for the series. And it's like, and it has Spider-Man on it. It's like, no, I'm going to keep this for myself. Matter of fact, I got 2 because a buddy of mine was like, hey, can you get this for me while you're at the con? And so I went back and I was able to get it for them. And it was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I got another pack. I should have got a different character, but I ended up getting Spider-Man because I figured, well, it's a welcome pack. I can, keep it or do an unboxing, make content that way, and then, keep one box and sell the other one.
That's not a pack. That's a deck.
This is a deck. Okay.
Right. A pack has like 8 cards in it. A deck has either 40 or 60, depending.
Okay. Yeah. So and it's not even sealed. Again, I think they not rushed out to get them out, but they were quick to get these out. So
yeah, they're probably not sealed because they're meant to be given away and not sold.
Yeah, so it was like, I'm keeping these. I wasn't even aware we were getting them.
SBPT says Green Lantern, Circle of Fire, Day of Judgment, and the Kingdom were 5-week events.
Yes, the Kingdom I remember.
Kingdom. That took place in the Kingdom Come Future?
Yeah, it was a follow-up. Mark Waid's idea. Alex Ross was not involved, and he did not like the idea that they were making it.
Oh, okay.
I think they wanted to launch one of Grant Morrison's unused ideas, Hyper Time. The idea being that if they wanted to use Silver Age stories, which were taken out of continuity by Crisis, they would explain it as Hyper Time, because Hyper Time merges and demerges timelines.
Okay.
I
have a vague memory of Hyper Time being a thing.
Yeah.
but nobody cared. And in the end, they started introducing Silver Age concepts a few years later. Anyway,
I wonder if 0 Hour was also a 5th week event type thing.
Well, Zero Hour had the central mini series. The Kingdom was a bunch of one shots, and they all came out the same week.
Okay.
Zero Hour had number 0 issues for every comic for every regular comic that they were putting out. So no Vertigo.
Okay.
And then there was the miniseries, which counted backwards.
Mm.
I think that was the first time they had a series counting back.
Countdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only other one, Marvel did it for, what was it?
Lost Generation, but that was
Lost Gen, yeah.
Yeah, but that was in 98. 0 Hour was in 94.
Okay.
That just reminded me somebody is publishing the John Byrne Elsewhere story.
Yeah. They already announced it.
They announced it? Oh, okay.
I just saw that. 3 volumes, I think, in next year.
Mm-hmm.
He's drawn a lot of issues of that.
Oh, yeah, he did a ton of them. I know that Marvel was in talks with him about it, and then it fell apart real quick. So I don't know. So
I think somebody licensed them from Marvel.
Okay.
So it's not Marvel publishing them. It's somebody else.
Fantastic.
It's like, all right.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. If you like old John Byrne X-Men. Did the Hulk have a Countdown miniseries? I do remember, what was that? When DC, I was like, what was it, a couple of years ago? What What DC issue? What DC series hit 1,000? Was it Detective Comics a couple of years ago?
They did an Action 1000, but they weren't sure if it was really 1000. The 1000
Because one of them they had Countdown to 1,000 was like the banner they had on their comics for a few months. I'm like you guys don't know what the word countdown means, do you?
Right.
That's a count up.
Yeah. No, the Hulk at a story arc called Countdown, because he was dying, but then he didn't die, of course, because it's the Hulk. It is the main star of the comic, and the last issue was drawn by Dale Keown, which was his first Hulk work.
That reminded me of Spawn's Countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, never quite reaching anything.
Never did anything. Yep. It was cool concept. That was like, ooh, this is interesting. And then it's like, how do you really keep track of how much power that character used that day?
Countdown.
And besides, I'm pretty sure I saw the number like going down to 2 or something, and then was back up to 996.
Right.
You got some more juice.
Yeah, so I don't think even Todd knew what he was doing.
No, probably not. It's like he just powered himself back. Hey.
Hello. What was that?
Where'd Wilson go? He's leaving us early.
I didn't touch anything.
No, we'll blame it on StreamYard.
Okay, sounds good. It's the technology against us.
Saw some rumors that Marvel's desperate with X-Men low sales and they're trying to convince Bird to come back and write X-Men. I don't. John Byrne is not going to write regular X-Men.
No.
Well, if he already did Elsewhere and they're publishing Elsewhere, he's done. I'm pretty sure John Byrne has no interest in writing current X-Men, in using current characters, or in using the old characters in the current manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just way too many books that he's not going to want to read.
Besides, it's like is what 65. He's not going to write X-Men monthly comics.
No,
and answering to some schmo editor who's 20 years younger than him.
Nope. And next week will be on my channel for my day after my birthday show. My birthday is next Thursday, so
you go do a birthday show or just day after your birthday
day
show?
After my birthday. I don't need to do a birthday show. We'll do a day after a birthday show.
The hangover show.
That's a hangover.
Okay, well, thank you for staying with us. So we had some interesting stories today.
Yeah.
And we have balloons to wrap this up.
Woo-hoo!
So
balloons, confetti, laser beams, we have it all.
We do have laser beams. Hit me with those laser beams. You gotta hit me. And we will be back next week on Jared's channel for a proper episode of the Cavern of Chaos.
All right.
See you all.
Have a great weekend.